Good morning, team. All right, we're going to get back into our playthrough of Dyson Sphere Program. We've got a little bit to talk about to start with. Going to start some hand clearing while we're talking. First things first, we've got some mistakes that were made. So we're going to go fix our mistakes first. Then, when we're done with that, we'll get into blue science and we will deal with the power issues that we have currently, which we don't have them exactly right this minute, but as we start adding more items to our build list and our construction queues, we will see more and more issues with our power supply. So, especially as we add blue science. So, shout out today is to the two YouTubers that I seem to always gravitate to watching the most, and that is Nilhouse and Catherine of Sky. They have very different play styles. They are the origins, at least for me, of the debate between mall and depot and hub, and I think maybe it's a little less serious than I made it out to be before, but it's playful, it's fun, but love watching their videos. Go jump on their channels, give them a follow. Uh, if you can only follow and watch one video, I would say watch one of theirs instead of mine. They're definitely better at this than I am, but I appreciate you being here and watching my videos too. So, uh, all right, that clearing is done. Let's come back over here and talk about the boo-boos that we made last time. So I had mentioned we left some space here, but I never did tell you why, other than to bring this iron over. And I had a really hard time trying to explain what I was trying to do because I was messing things up while I was doing it. I couldn't quite figure out why. So this is supposed to be the outline for the iron ingots. This is going to pass through here. What we want to do is get rid of that. The point here is to use the surplus, and that's what I was trying to get after when I was explaining uh, why we were doing this, why we weren't using direct insertion to make gears, because I wanted to use the surplus. Now, to clean this up, we got to get rid of that copper real quick, and then we drag our line of iron ingots over there and then reconnect our copper and everything should be good. And now see, we're getting a full belt because gears are backed up. We don't use nearly as many gears as we are building for yet. We may use them in the future for something, but we're not using them right now. So our iron was just backing up and just sitting there. And so by adding these two belts together, when our circuits are full and our gears are full, or our gears are full, we will fill up our iron belt with those items. The other thing that I failed to mention, and we're going to run over here for just a minute. Now you can see the yellow lightning bolts. We are starting to get power issues, so we are going to address that today. We'll grab the depots and then we'll come back this way and let's grab our sorters. Let's use the right terminology. And what we forgot to do, and the reason we leave some space, is to drop these depots here, 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 and here. And we're gonna first, let's copy our settings. So we're only getting one stack, and we're gonna set these up to gather one stack of our resources that we have. Thought I'll put that in the wrong place, but it'll be okay. So we'll gather some circuits, one stack of circuits, one stack of iron ingots, stack of electromagnetic coils, stack of copper, and a stack of gears. Now, why are we doing that? I'm going to head over here where we're going to start working on our blue science soon. We'll pick up some stuff along the way, but let's go to the technology menu and look. So we looked at upgrades last time, and some of these upgrades call for things that we haven't made yet. But in order to make them, we need components. Well, we could set up a factory to make electric motors, and we might, at some point. But in order to get the quick upgrade, level 2 of this is just science research. Same thing here. Level 2 of this is just science research. So we want to knock these out real quick. And it's a whole lot easier for circuits, obviously, if we have circuits already. For some of these other things, we'll learn how to make energetic graphite today. For the drive engine, making these engines, it's going to be a lot easier for us to make 50 engines if we have electromagnetic coils and copper on hand. So we don't have to manufacture them fully from scratch. We grab what we need to make them and make them out of the most advanced components that we have. That helps us out a little bit. Okay, so we're going to do some shift right clicking on these because we don't want to carry a full stack, and we don't really want our construction mall hub depot thingy to be filling up with. We are going to grab all of those. We want to. We don't want these to have to make a bunch of extra stuff that we don't need right now. So we're just going to grab a little bit so that we have what we need. Let's see. We're going to need, I think, we're going to, well, eventually we'll need 12 of those. Just going to need one of these. So we'll grab it while we're here. Oops. And we're going to need a few miners as well. We'll go ahead and get 6 just in case. Okay. Okay, let's go back over here. I probably should have done this earlier. Sorry. We're going to slip through there. We're going to come over here to our area over here. So we are going to be making our blue science today. And we're going to use matrix labs to do that. So we're going to grab some of the stuff that we need to make these matrix labs because we want to make 5 more of these. And we don't have enough material. Well, we might have enough material to make them now. Let's see here. Can we make 5? Yeah, we can make 5. Well, we'll just make it with what's in our inventory. And do we need to? We've got plenty of belts. Let's come over here and grab a few more belts while we're thinking about it. And that will give us plenty of belts as well. All right, now that we've got all of that, we have, in order to make blue science, or electromagnetic matrices, we need these coils and we need these circuits. So we've got both of these right here. So we're going to use those to make our labs. Here's the meridian that we had talked about before, a thicker line. There are 4 of these around the planet, and we're going to take advantage of our production line for our mall hub thingy, and we're going to use the overflow.
A matrix lab, a facility to produce matrices. It can also be used to research technologies that are unlocked with matrices. Matrices are the source codes to maintain the center brain simulation of a homeland. You can upload as many matrices to the center brain to run its simulation and unlock more technologies in the real world.
Okay, so let's look at this. We want to be making electromagnetic matrices. We can also click on this to research, and it will do research instead. But since we want to make these, we're going to click here. So in order to make these, we need 1 electromagnetic coil and 1 circuit every 3 seconds. And now that our replication is complete, we can stack these. So that's another cool thing about this game. Right now we can only stack 3. We do have, in our upgrade, we have vertical construction, which will allow us to stack things, but we need red science, which is science matrix or energy matrix for that. So we can't do that yet. So let's talk about why we built our belts this way. So when we add a sorter here, we'll click on that sorter and look at it. It takes 1.5 seconds per trip. Well, we have 3 that use 1 per 3 seconds. So we're basically using 1 per second here. If we come over here, where we stretched our belts and we look at this sorter, it takes 0.75 trips per second, and then the long sorter going 3 takes 0.5 trips per second. So we could probably get by with just 2 inserters or 2 sorters over here. I like to put 3 just to give us that extra edge. So we'll put 3 there as well. And then we are now making electromagnetic science. So we want to dump these into a chest here, a depot. Let's see, get too close. Move our depot a little bit. Now for this one, it's not going to matter as much that we are just moving one at a time. Now we're not going to limit this box because, let's jump back over to technology, as we scroll out and see how much the upgrades we have, and nearly all of these upgrades are going to use blue science. Same thing with technology. We can click on these out here, proliferators. We'll get to those eventually. All of that stuff's going to use blue science. So we end up needing a lot of blue science, so we're not going to limit that at all. What we are going to do is we're going to come up here. Here's another interesting way that this game is different from some other factory games. This is one of the parallels, but this is a primary parallel, a tropic, whatever you want to call it. And you can see the main lines don't line up. There are 5x5 grids. There are 16 rows from this parallel down to the equator, and then on the other side of the equator it's the same. Well, as you go further toward the top of a globe, the amount of space is different. So in order to get a 5x5, there are fewer around the globe at this level than there are at this level. So, and then as we keep going up, eventually you would see another parallel where it doesn't quite line up perfectly. And it makes for interesting, weird things when you try to put belts across those. So we want to try to do that only at these primes or at places where it matches perfectly. We'll put a belt down and you'll be able to see how it does some weird jumping around when you do that. So we want to avoid that if we can. And it's just a matter of how they designed the game in order to fit in a globe instead of doing just flat map construction like you would do in Factorio or Satisfactory or something. So we're going to put our matrix for research up here because we will be using it for another science when we get our red matrix. We'll be using it for that. So let's take our belt out and we're going to curve this one across this way. And again, we'll just we do want more coming out because we'll fill this belt if we can. So we'll drop that here this way, and then we're going to come over here to our matrix, and we're going to click research this time. Hashes per second is how fast it's doing the research. There are lots of folks that can tell you how that calculates. I did not take the time to figure it out because it's a little confusing, and I didn't feel like it. So we're just going to power our research lab, and we'll set 3 sorters to dump as much in here as it can. And now we're ready to do some research. So let's jump into our technology. The first thing we want to unlock is all the way back up here at the top, our cosmic exploration. It only takes 10 cubes, so real simple to do. Here's the number of hashes, so you can see how many hashes per second on the thing we were looking at, the other screen we were looking at. Basically what this is going to do though is we're going to be able to view our ore distribution on the planet. So let's activate that one, and then we're going to come back over here to technologies because we also want to activate and enqueue this one next so that we can help deal with our power situation, and then thermal power, which is just 30, and then finally we want to unlock our splitters here. So we'll do those first. Oh, and we do want combustible units as well. We'll talk about all of these as they come about. We're about to get our upgrade for cosmic exploration, and our advisor is going to tell us about that in just a
You've
minute.
unlocked universe exploration. Now you can click the detailed display button at the bottom right corner of the screen to enable real-time vein distribution.
Okay, so here's our distribution, and we talked about this before. You can press H and it pops up here. We can click on vein distribution here, and then when we start looking at our veins, we see 15 iron.
Research is too slow. Build more matrix labs. Multiple matrix labs can contribute to the same research. Build more matrix labs and set them to research mode and ensure sufficient supply of matrices.
So our research is slow because everything is slow because we are severely lacking in power right now. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But I did want to show you the iron veins. We can come over here and see at the top of the screen the coal vein there. And when we unlock flying, we'll be able to see even more. You see our crude oil seep over there. We'll use that when we get ready to do our red matrix. So all of that helps for those things. So what we want to do, at least for now, is we want to drop some more of these wind turbines so that we can get more power. And now that we've dropped a couple of those, I'm going to click on one to show you that it shows you the sufficiency. So we're only supplying less than 50% of our power needs are being supplied right now. That's why everything's moving so slowly. That's why it's taking so long to get things done. You can actually see this on the chart when you just point at one of these power generators, or if you click down here in the bottom right or press P, you can pull up the power panel here and you can see the full distribution. It tells you what's using your power, how much you're generating, how much you're consuming, the real-time information, all kinds of cool stuff about the power. And this is over the past 10 minutes. You can change that. You can eventually change it to the entire cluster or different systems. So just for now, though, we're going to drop some more wind turbines. We'll be able to pull these up later so that we don't need to, if we need to use this space for something else, we can. Let's do some gathering of materials here so I can get my free stuff that you guys know I like. Alright. And then as we put more and more of, oops, that one messed up on me. As we put more of these out, we will see the power distribution slowly going up. We get fewer complaints about lacking power. We'll just put a couple more down. Let's put one up here, here, and here. Okay. So all that's done. The other reason that we're going slowly is because we are siphoning off still things for building because we haven't filled up our depots yet. And we have also not filled up, have we filled up these? Yeah, I guess we have filled these up. So. All right, so now we have our smelting purification. So that's going to be very helpful. So our next phase, again, like I said, we want to deal with the power issues. So let's come up here to our coal node, and we're going to clear out a little bit of stuff so that we can use this coal node to build a power generation facility to help alleviate some of the needs so we don't have to put wind turbines all over everywhere. So let's grab our miners. And I believe if we stretch just a little bit, we can't quite get 10. All right, so we'll settle for 9. That's okay. Then we'll rotate this one and see if we can't get it. A little bit more than 6, maybe not. Okay, we'll settle for 6. That's good enough. All right, so we also researched our generators. We'll come back down here before we finish the coal. And we're going to extend our belt lines out to here. And we're doing this because we do want these generators for our use in our power plant. So we'll click over here, click our generators, and generators need electromagnetic, don't need circuits, they need iron ingots, electromagnetic, need gears, and they need stone bricks. And we'll put those in here. Remember, we had set those already. So good for us. We will start getting generators now. We did get one generator as part of our process, so we are good with that. Let's clear some of this stuff out so that we can use this as our power production line. We will grab from there. We're going to pull that all the way down to here and just run a line all the way to there. Right, more tree, and then we're going to put smelters 1, 2, 3, skip a space for our power, 1, 2, 3. Right, and we've got some stuff over here that we can clear out so that we don't lose it. And we'll do our output line on this side. And we're going to pause our output line right there. We will go to the other side of that meridian for some of our stuff. We are going to also put a our assembler right there, and we're going to put a depot over here. All right, and let's get some power to our process. Here, there, up here, actual miners, and we can't put that one there. That will interrupt with the flow of things, so we'll just move it out. Actually, instead of that, we can put it here because we won't need that. All right, so that's our sorters. We'll go back in just a minute to do sorters. So let's get our other coal line flowing into this process. There we go. Now we'll have a full belt of coal. And here's where things get interesting. All right, so let's click on here. Let's pick our energetic graphene. So energetic graphene is a little different than the things we've smelted before in that it takes 2 coal to create 1. So we will not have a full output belt from this, but it will consume our full belt of coal. So we'll get that all set up here with our sorters so that we're producing plenty of energetic graphene, and then copy paste this throughout. Oops. Well, copy the right thing and paste the right thing, and it usually works a lot better. Okay, we made something here. We have a little bit of trash on the ground. That will eventually go away, or we can remove our litter by clicking here. We have 2 littered items. I don't know where they all are, but that clears them out. I don't know if you guys know, or somebody else who's following along knows of a way to pick those up. Please let me know, because I'd rather pick up stuff than throw it away. Anyway, so I'm going to bring a line down here. This is eventually going to be our red science line, and the only reason I'm putting it in is because of the cool little feature that lets you just drag a belt and it will automatically go up and down like that. So we're going to build to here for now, and let's put our first generator out. And as soon as we do, our advisor is going to tell us how awesome we are for having a thermal generator.
A thermal power plant? This kind of power facility consumes chemical fuel. Ensure adequate fuel supply at all times so the plant can consistently generate power.
All right, so we want to adequately supply fuel to our power plant. That's what our energetic graphene is for. Interestingly, you can see we're almost getting, every once in a while, we'll peak up at 100% capacity, 100% sufficiency of our um, power needs. So we're going to clear out a little bit more over here so that we can add another generator or two so that that will take care of our power. I believe that even if we're at 100%, I believe the generators still actually do burn the energetic graphene. So we'll be slowly depleting that coal all the way through. There we go. Oh, you know what? I know what's going on. Okay, so the reason we're dropping things on the ground is because our
Research
inventory is
complete.
full. So we'll take care of the combustible unit in just a minute. But we do need to put fuel in our mech, so let's do that. And once we have fuel in our mech, that will free up uh, some of our inventory slots. So now we won't drop things on the ground when we hand build like that or hand mine like that, which is kind of defeats the purpose of trying to gather extra stuff. Okay, so here is our assembly machine that we're going to use. We're going to siphon off just a little bit of the coal because we're not going to be using a full belt yet. So we're going to siphon off a little bit of this coal into making these combustible units. So it uses 3 coal every 3 seconds. One sorter is plenty for that. So then we're going to dump that into a chest, and we're going to limit this chest to 3 stacks. Now, what this stuff does, these combustible units, let's pull it up in our constructor here. The energy that's produced by combustible units, it looks like it's more than energetic graphene. So energetic graphene is 6.75 megajoules, and combustible units is 9.72 megajoules. But it also is using 3 coal to do that. So if you do all the math and put everything together, it actually works out better in generators to use the energetic graphite. However, what we do get is that fuel chamber generation plus 80%, the third row there. That is when we use this as fuel for our mecha. So since we need to fuel our mecha, and we don't want to have to keep mining trees all the way through the game, we want to use something else for a fuel source. We could use energetic graphene, which is a perfectly fine thing to do, but using combustible units gives us an extra 80% fuel chamber generation. So it just helps us recharge faster. So we will use that for our fuel generation. We'll let that build up and we'll come back to it in a little bit. We do have one remaining assembler down here that we want to click on and build splitters, most importantly. We will talk about those later when the time comes, but we definitely want to build splitters. So let's go with our iron ingots, our circuits and gears, and put splitters in there. So we'll use our splitters eventually, but for now we just want
is
to
almost
build
depleted.
them.
Ore reserves in each vein is limited. Once exhausted, the supply of raw ores can no longer be guaranteed, which will adversely impact production lines. Exploit new veins for replacement. Additionally, upgrade vein utilization to reduce ore loss during mining operation.
So we will talk about ore utilization later. That just basically gives us the ability to use less ore. I guess we're talking about it now. It gives us the ability to use less ore when we mine or get more ore out of the vein. So let's add a little bit of power here. We're going to add 3 to our power production facility. Let's get our fuel into these, and then we'll look at our power production and see how things look at that point. Okay, so now all 3 of these generators are running let's press P and look at our power. So we're at 100% sufficiency, and you see our demand is close, just a little bit over 50% of what we actually are producing. So we're good on power for now. You can see we've got 29 wind turbines and 3 thermal power plants. We can change that up some. We can do different things with it. We will be using different power sources as we get further along in the game, but for now, that's good. So the other thing I wanted to point out is now that our mall hub depot thing is full and it's barely making anything, you can see there's not much moving down on this side of the mall hub depot thing, and mostly it's just the assembling, just the generators, power generators, and the splitters that we just started. So the point there is that these lines are now full. And so we've got full lines of excess feeding into our stuff over there. So let's come back over here, and we're going to interrupt the flow of some of this stuff for a little bit because we're going to steal some of these materials over here. One of the things that we want to do is we want to work on our upgrades. So let's come back over to upgrades, and we have, as part of our goals over here on the left hand side, you can see upgrade mecha and unlock flight mode. So in order to do that, we need the drive engine, unlocks flight mode. And in order to do that, we need this engine produced. So since we're building the technologies, we're going to go ahead and research the engine. It only takes 20, so we'll be okay there. We are going to do some more research. We're going to queue some more research up in just a little bit, but I do want to focus on some of these upgrades first. So we will upgrade our mechanical frame so we can move faster. Inventory capacity, we actually need steel for. Communication is actually from this gives us an extra construction drone. We'll add that in just a minute. Reconstruction is for when you're in battle with the dark fog. This is how your battle computers can reconstruct things that are destroyed. We're going to activate this one first because this takes 100 circuits and we can get that really, really quickly. So that will give us our blueprint facilities, copy paste ability. Then we're also going to enact this one, which takes wood, coal, and energy circuits, and we'll go grab those in just a minute. And then finally we did start this, so we're going to unlock that one, and before we leave we will kick off the building of these engines that we need. And then finally, let's unlock our additional construction drone, and then we'll go back to technologies. That gets us 4. The next technology we want is steel smelting, so we'll in-queue that. All right, so let's grab our 100 of our circuits, which will give us what we need for that research, and that kicks off immediately. And then in order to make the engines that we needed 50 of these engines. We'll need 50 coils and 100 copper. So we'll grab, we have 32 copper. It's just easier to grab the whole stack, so we'll grab a whole stack. And then we only need 50 of these, so we will control that a little bit better and do that and put those in our inventory. And then we can make the 50 engines that we need for our research there. Okay, now let's head back over, because once this particular upgrade is researched, we're going to need to have coal and energetic graphene in our inventory. So we're going to come up to one of these smelters that is further down the line. We'll grab 100 energetic graphene from there, and we're just going to grab all the coal that we can from there. And let's see how we're doing. Okay, we've already got one stack here. You know what? Before we go any further, let's build one extra. I usually do this when I do the hub, but we can put it here as well. It's not a big deal. And this is going to be kind of a dump chest for us. So we'll do a quick sort, and we'll put titanium and silicon, and we need our coal. We're going to need some of this wood. We don't need any of that. We don't need oil or organic crystals yet, and we are probably... Okay, we lost some things because of the mistake I made with letting the inventory fill up, because I didn't create this box earlier. So we did lose at least one item that I know of. It is part of the technology research. It is. Let's see. I can show you. We usually get one of these when we get splitters. We also get one of these traffic monitors. We don't use it. I don't use it, at least not yet. There'll be a reason for using it later, but for now, it's not important. But we don't have one, so we'll have to make one when we're ready. All right, so we're going to jump back over here and grab more coal because we are going to need it. We need 210, I believe, is the total amount of coal that we're going to need. Yes, I'm gathering more stuff while we wait on our technology to finish to see what else we need to do there. And let's see if we have enough coal yet. We have not got quite enough coal. So we can put some more of this stuff in our dump chest. We'll put some of the stone in as well because we won't be using that. We do have stone bricks.
Complete.
And we can get some stone bricks elsewhere if we need it. We will need a little more coal.
Upgrade complete.
Alright, so this gives us our blueprints. We'll hear from the advisor about blueprints.
You've unlocked Blueprint. You can now make batch copies of production line plans. Press Ctrl and C to enter copy mode. Click the left mouse button to select the desired area. Then press Ctrl and V to paste the copied blueprint. Alternatively, press 0 to open Blueprint Library, where you can browse and use all saved blueprints. With powerful blueprints, you can then build a huge industrial empire.
Right, our huge industrial empire. All right, we're going to come back over here. We should have enough coal to address what we need to for our research queue and our technology. And we are going to add the missing miner over here so that we can get a full belt of stone. Let's see if we can't get our 6. Saw it. There it is. Okay, and then that's already powered, so we just need to fill that into our line there. And then while the drones work on that, we'll come over here and we'll start putting our smelters down. 2, 3. And we're not going to use this to make the stone bricks. What we are going to do is we're going to add a line of glass. Now, glass uses 2 stone every 2 seconds, so that's 1 stone a second. So again, it'll use up our full belt of stone, but we do not need, we only get 1 out. So, okay, so that upgrade gave us extra fuel power for our mech, which is helpful and will be very useful when we start flying, because you burn a lot of fuel when you fly. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop another line of belts here for the output of our glass. And did we get, yeah, we got all our belts over there, so we are good to go with glass. We will be using glass in a future episode to upgrade what we're making for our Tesla towers. Our Tesla towers are helpful for right now, but eventually we're going to want to make the more advanced version of the Tesla tower. So I'm going to drop all of this, but I'm going to stay right here so the drones can finish, and we'll pull up the construction menu. We don't have it yet, but the next version of the Tesla tower comes from this technology down here. And what that wireless power tower does is it lets us harness power. If we're standing in range of one of these as a mech, we can harness power from that tower as well. So it uses less of our, we are making the combustible units, and we will use those for power in the future. But this will, if we have these available, will allow us to pull off the power grid and not have to use as much internal power. So we're just going to drag this belt over. Like I said, we don't have that unlocked yet, but we will need it in order to make those wireless towers. So, all right, here we are again back at our depot, mall hub thing, and let's go back into our technologies. We are researching this particular drive engine right now. That's the last thing we wanted to do today. We need just regular research cubes for those. Regular research cubes, that one's queued. And we'll need 120 of our circuits, but we can't do that until we make steel. And then we need 60 of these electric motors. We can't do that until we unlock the technology to make them, which is down here. But there are other things that we want to unlock first, like our steel. And we're going to go ahead and enqueue these. This is fluid encapsulation. It lets us build these storage tanks for when we use oil. And then again, the high efficiency plasma control, which is important not just for these wireless power towers, but it also leads us to being able to make our oil extractor and our oil refinery, which we need for the next level of science, which is down here, the energy matrix. So we'll have to unlock a few more things to get there, but we will get there soon, and we're getting close. We're not going to steal anything from any of these chests at this moment. We're going to come back over to where our combustible units are being made. We can dump some things in our dump chest now that we're done with some of that research. Some of those things that we won't necessarily be using. And then we can come here and, here and pull out the two stacks of combustible units, and we can put those in. Now remember, your fuel chamber uses from right to left. So we're going to put our combustible fuel units in here like this, and that way we'll use up that wood first, but we have those available for future use. Check on our power, and we're still good because a lot of this has stopped now. We're full up on our depots. And you can see with that vein distribution turned on, we get glimpses on the horizon every time we point in the direction of something. We can see what it is, so, and how much it is. So that's helpful. All right, we are almost there with our flight, and we'll get our achievement for our first flight from that. We're also busily making plenty of blue cubes for our research. And there we go. Last little bit.
Upgrade complete.
Now we have drive engines. So our advisor is going to tell us about this, and we will fly.
Flight mode.
You're now able to fly. Press space twice to lift off, and then press the direction keys to move the mecha. In flight mode, mecha speed is boosted by 150%, and energy consumption is increased. Press Alt to land the mecha.
All right, so we have our first flight. Let's go ahead and click on this, and I will show you the milestones. So every time you achieve one of these milestones, you get the little thing to light up. Now, I believe that at the end of these, and I don't know if it's filling off an entire side or if it's at the end of each line or what it is, but I believe that you get bonuses for finishing those. So we'll see when that happens, and we'll come back and look at it again. You can always get back to that by clicking the P button and going to milestones on the tab. I usually keep it on power as much as I can, just because that's usually what you care most about at this point in the game. All right, that is everything we wanted to cover today. I think our next session will be getting our red science going so that we can continue our research, and we'll grow our factory and work toward getting that Dyson Sphere created. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. I appreciate everybody who listens and watches these videos. If you enjoy them, please let me know. If you have a suggestion or something that you would like me to cover in the videos, please ask. I will be glad to consider that. And again, big, huge shout outs to Nilaus and Catherine Sky. Great video production producers. Excellent videos, both of them. Totally different play styles, but they're both worth watching. So give them a follow if you can. And if you like this, give me a like and a follow as well. And remember, players, stay shiny and keep on building.